everybody. Hello everyone. My name is Dina, and welcome to World Space Week 2021. These webinars are presented by the Art of Inquiry. So get ready to learn, be amazed, and explore. A little about myself. I will be hosting this webinar. Our speaker is Dr. Natalia Black. So I'm in 7th grade. I'm homeschooled, and I live in New Jersey. This is my 3rd year at the Art of Inquiry. And yeah, I love it. I love astrobiology because there's so many branches and there's something for everyone. So we'll be talking about astrolinguistics today with, as I said before, Natalia Black. Natalia Black is a specialist in English literature and has a passion for all things linguistics, from interpreting to comparative literature. So before we start, for this webinar, you are welcome to unmute, but only with the raise hand feature within Zoom.
Thank you so much, Dina. I appreciate it. I am very glad to see such nice crowd today, and I know some of you already enrolled in Art of Inquiry, and some of you just guests today. Today we're going to speak about astrobiology, but not in terms of physics, so astrophysics, physics, but in terms of language and understanding, in terms of linguistics. I will be very thankful for the questions, and thank you, Dina, for explaining how to handle it. I will do my best to answer all of them, but I just want to warn you that this topic is so huge that today we'll have more questions than answers, and actually I encourage questions. Will not get all the answers, but we'll have some interesting questions, definitely. So before moving to astrolinguistics, xenolinguistics, we're going to talk a little bit about terminology. So there are actually several terms describing this science. It is astrolinguistics, exolinguistics, xenolinguistics, and probably something else that we don't know about, but this is 3 major terms. So astrolinguistics, as you probably guessed from etymology, astro, star in Greek. It's most when we think it's about stars, it's about language on other planets, or language that's spoken by somebody on another planet. We're thinking, when we say astrolinguistics, we're thinking about stars and planets. When we say exolinguistics, exo, something beyond our understanding, beyond our control, something that we probably don't see. Exolinguistic, we're thinking something about universe, something that doesn't happen here on Earth. And pretty similar terms, xenolinguistics. And xeno, again, as we can see from etymology, is xeno means somebody who is a stranger, somebody who is a foreigner, somebody that we don't know. And I was thinking about the best image to demonstrate xenolinguistics, and I found a little bit weird. This is sculpture that was made by Chinese artist Li Changgu, and it's called xenofrog. This is creature that doesn't exist at Earth, so it's complete fiction. It's his imagination. He tried to show xenofrog. It is a frog. It's very clear it's a frog, but it's not real. It's not frog that we're familiar with. And I think if the real frog, that frog lives on the Earth, will see this frog, oh, this is something strange, something I'm not familiar with. This is xeno. This is xeno. Xeno is something strange, foreign, unfamiliar. And by the way, maybe this will be my first question. If we're talking about these terms, Which one would you prefer? Which one do you like? Which one seems the most interesting, the most full and content for you? Any ideas which terms you're going to which terms you prefer to use if we're talking about communication with extraterrestrial? Anyone? Or it's all or they all seem the same for you? If you don't have any preferences, I will just move forward. And I want to start with a picture that is not actually related to cosmos or astronomy or the planets, but it has direct relation to linguistics. Anybody recognize the this art? What's going on here? Who's in the picture? This is it's a hint, it's illustration to a pretty famous book, and there are also several cartoons. Oh, I see I'm sorry, I see the answers in the chat. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Astro, Xeno, all interested. Okay, Mowgli. Thank you. Thank you. Mowgli. That's right. This is Mowgli. And if any of you read a book, Book of Jungle, by Rudyard Kipling, or probably watch a movie, it could be Mowgli, it could be Book of Jungle. You're familiar with a little child who, by accident, was raised by the wolf family. And he was absolutely happy with the mother wolf and his siblings who look like little brothers for him. And he never spoke human language. However, he communicated. And I have a question for you. How did he communicate? Now we'll look at the chat if you're going to answer. How he communicated if he didn't speak human language, any language, and apparently animals didn't speak human language. How did communicate? Okay, I see first answers, body language, excellent. It is body language. Body language, yes, that's true. It's body language. One of the communication is body language, and later on we'll see how animals use it. Sign language, it's another good idea. Sign language. Some animals use sign language, and people definitely use sign language. This is all great answers. I will show you next slide. So here, the little boy Mowgli, he wasn't around. He wasn't around humans, and he didn't get a chance to go to regular school. However, he was educated because he had great teachers. This is the old bear Baloo and Bagheera. You see this on the right, who taught him. Actually, it was a school for him. And the main thing they taught him is how to communicate, because without communication, he would never survive. This is a quick quote from Rudyard Kipling. Baloo, the teacher of the law, taught him the wood and water laws, how to speak politely to the wild bees, what to say to Mang the bat, and how to warn the water snakes. And I see somebody of you put, I think, Juan, animal sounds, which is another great way to communicate. Animals usually communicate between them. In this book, which is fiction, they taught human how to communicate. And he successfully communicated without, he didn't write, he didn't read, he didn't know a single letter or word or sentence, but he was able to speak. It was just different language. This is one of the exercise that Mowgli performed during jungle language exam. For the birds, if you need to communicate with the birds, Mowgli repeated with the kite's whistle at the end of the sentences. For the snakes, he was able to manage a perfectly indescribable hiss. And why do you think I put undescribable? And this, while for me it was important to put this quote from Kipling. He said that this hiss was undescribable. So if it's undescribable, why this is undescribable? What do you think? They were animals, and their language system is completely different. There are no words in English language that mean that sound. I think this is very good. Answer. There is no word in the English language that means this sound, because animals use different systems. And I'm very glad that you put such great answers, because it helps us to move forward. You almost guessed what I was thinking about in my next slides. My questions were: do we need letters, words, and sentences to communicate? And is verbal language the only way of communication? So you can raise your hand, you can put it in the chat, think a little bit about it, and there is no right answer for this. There is no wrong answer for this. So I'm looking forward to hear something from you. So do we really need letters and words and sentences? Why? And is verbal language the only way of communication? And also why? What do you think? I see first question is no, there are many other ways. Sign language, body language. No, for example, dolphins has a language on clicks and whistles. Thank you. These are all great ideas. It's true. I think somebody is in the waiting room. Letters, words, and sentences aren't necessity, but they're essential to building civilization and evolving as humans. Not all life make noises to communicate. Thank you. Thank you. This is all great questions, and I will move forward. But if you want to answer or you have some thoughts, you're very welcome to. You're very welcome to write it in the chat. In prehistory, there is nothing recorded, but humans still had ways to communicate. So that's right. It's not recorded, and we know something. What was saved on the stones. But yes, sounds were not saved. It was only written language. It's a great answer. So as you say, there are so many ways of communication. This one, what kind of communication is this? Who is on the picture? You'll probably guess this is a little skunk. So how do they communicate? They use sometimes they use sounds or with their color. This is one thing. Appearance, and also there is chemical communication. They say, "Don't hurt me by standing up." Oh, this is yes, exactly. And smells. So you put all great answers. There is smell, which is chemical communications. There is also body language, color language, which is another way to communicate. What kind of communications is this? Well, there are, I don't know, maybe they're not the best pictures. There are two dogs barking at each other. what kind of communication is this? Okay, verbal. Okay, the angry and fighting. That's right. Okay, okay. When scared, that's our films. Very good. Okay, what else? They're looking scary. That's true. That's true. Yes, it's auditory communication. They're making sound, even they're not verbal. They're not verbal because there's no word, or there are no words. It's auditory communication. Very good. And we have a couple of more slides. And this is very sweet picture of, I don't know how many, like 3 monkeys hugging each other. And what kind of communication this? This is affection, physical touch, body language. Correct. That's all correct. That's all correct. In biology, in zoology, it's called tactile communication. Well, when people touch each other, and they communicate by touching each other. So you see, there are so many ways of communication, including, I think somebody told in the beginning, the colors. This is visual communication. This is, again, my favorite frog. This one is real. And the colors tells a whole story to other animals and probably to people and probably somebody else. So you see, there are so many ways of communication, and it is only beginning, and we're talking about animals. But how do we know? How do we know? It's our assumptions, right? So assumptions, they use color for that, and they use sound for this. How do we really know that the animals communicating, that they're saying something, that means something? Sometimes because we cannot really go in animal head and find out what they're thinking and what they're feeling. Sometimes it's a trick. Okay. How many years we observe animals, and we live in one world with animals. Even before official zoology starts, people were observing animals for 1,000 years. And after so many years, we just stayed with them for all our life. Actually, this is pretty good. We stare at them because we spend so much time with animals that we observe, and we do now research. We compare their behavior, and sometimes we see similarities, differences. And after analyzing this, yes, we sometimes come to conclusions, or at least to hypotheses. So just assume that something means something. That bright color of the frog means threat. That smell of the skunk means please don't touch me. That bark of the dog means give me some food, please. So we observe them, we research observation, and we analyze them. That's how we know. And we think we understand animals. I don't know, if we ask animals, do we really understand them? Probably. I don't know what the animals think. What do you think? Do animals understand us? And considering that human and animals live together, which one is more important? That we understand them, or they understand us? What do you think? Which one is more important? So some people think that it's important to understand, that we understand them. Some people think that it's vice versa. And a couple of answers that exactly both. And It's not a trick. It's not a trick. It just we're trying to see what's going on with understanding other species. We didn't even get to somebody or someone, another planet, somebody who doesn't live on the Earth. We didn't even get there. Now we're trying to communicate with somebody who's not human. Okay, and I have more questions for you. If we're talking about extraterrestrials, the first questions, who we're going to communicate with animals, we know, we see them, they're right there, we observe them, and we interact with them. When we're talking about speaking with extraterrestrials, do we know who we're going to communicate with? Are they able to communicate? Sorry. And how are they going to communicate? These are three questions that, yes, people, we don't know. People, we don't know. And I think this is a pretty good answer, which at one point, very discouraging, because if we don't know how we're going to communicate. But in a way, it is encouraging because we can analyze what's going on with animals and we'll try to apply our assumptions, our hypotheses to communicating with extraterrestrials. Or we can see this experience and try to invent something new. Yes, and as Patrick said, I think it's good. It's impossible is how to communicate with unknown life forms. So it's very scary. The life form is unknown. The life form is unknown. So how we're going to communicate? Apparently, we already find out that we not necessarily need letters or sentences to speak with animals or with extraterrestrials, but we still can communicate. We need some kind of language to speak with them. Do we need to invent new language, or what are we going to do? So do we need to invent a new language or not, or we try to adapt our own language, our human language? Okay, I see. Oh, it's a lot of questions. So, the golden record stuff. I mean, we don't know how they communicate. They might have a system. They don't even exist on Earth. I see. Now that it's a lot of math. Actually, it's we don't know at all. Pictures. So the answers are pictures, math, golden record stuff, some interesting noises. They might have a system that don't even exist on our Earth. So what are we going to do? And we come into the same questions that we ask speaking about animals. Will we understand extraterrestrials? Probably, I don't know. Well, probably don't know. Will they understand us? We also don't know. And looking for way of communication, the scientists always ask themselves, which one is more important? To create a system, to understand them, or somehow invent our own system and hope they will understand that they will understand us. So again, there are more questions than answers. Yeah, like in golden record diagrams show where our Earth is. So anybody wants to elaborate? Because I'm talking, and I really appreciate all the chat. But if anyone wants to speak, they're very welcome. Speak about golden record, charts, anything. Anybody wants to speak? Please raise your hand. All questions, comments, ideas are very welcome. So far, I don't see anybody's hands, but okay, if you prefer chats, it's fine. So another questions? Another question or guess. If Martians visited Earth, they would think that we all speak dialects of the same language. Is it true or false? And true, false, true, depends. So I see some people agreed, some don't. One of the most famous linguists, Noam Chomsky, suggests that yes, if Martians visited Earth, they think they will all speak dialects of the same language because all terrestrial languages are similar. So sometimes linguists just assume that, again, and there is no right and wrong answer because there are only assumptions. Sometimes they assume that if we have language, because all terrestrial languages are similar and we're able to speak each other languages. So if there are other creatures on other planets, and they also are thinking, they probably have the same abilities and they're also able to speak some language. We're just trying to find a key to language. And here we come into idea of mutual intelligibility. What is mutual intelligibility? It's ability of people with different languages understand each other. For example, Russian people will understand Ukrainian. Spanish people will understand Italian. They may miss something because grammar and vocabulary are different, but they will understand each other. Afrikaans and Dutch are very similar, so if people will speak to each other without knowing each other's languages, they will find a way to communication. So it's pretty safe to assume that a lot of languages are intelligible. So we can speak to each other without knowing exact languages. Unfortunately, we cannot say it about all the languages. For example, I see more messages in the chat. You could say languages are extreme dialects of Proto-European. Okay, very good. Thank you. So this is in Japanese. Anybody knows what does it mean? I hope somebody. Okay, let's move to next line. This one is, oh, Declan. Okay, you're close. Okay, this one, the same word in Armenian. Somebody speaks Armenian. This is in Islamic language. So if first two lines we couldn't even read unless we know Japanese language. Midja and Islamic, at least we can read. We don't know the meaning, but we recognize the signs. This is even easier in Albanian. It's in a gender. So somehow we can speak it. And sorry. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. So this means center. and in different languages. So I just put as many languages as I could fit in the slides. So we need to find out the language that will be so universal that people speaking in different languages, Japanese and Russian, will understand it. Or invent something that will be understood by another brain or another thinking organ. So there are so many languages in the world. How will they know math? And again, you see, I see a lot of people write about math, because math is easier for us, even if we don't know each other languages. We know numbers, considering we have the same math system and understanding of math. That's why it's important to study math. And I see another question: how will they know math? But what if they use a different number system? Like we go by tens, but what if they go by sevens? That's true. And actually I like this idea, if we go by tens, if they go by sevens. So even if they have different numbers and different system, different counting, they will probably understand if they see numbers or little dots or pebbles, even if it's different symbols. Counting may be similar. It may take some time, but I think so many people say math that it makes sense. There are so many languages that appearing and disappearing. Today we don't have much time. Today we'll speak only probably about artificial languages, because there are spontaneous languages, there are new languages that appears, there are natural languages that appears and disappears, because unfortunately a lot of languages are dying for various reasons, and of course there are a lot of weird languages. So that's what organization that you're probably familiar with this. There is 98% chance of them not knowing math. Okay, this is actually it's a good idea. So because they may use about math, they may use completely different system. That's why it's a lot of assumptions. There is a lot of hypothesis, and it's a lot of trial and error. That's why organization, which is called Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or MATI, was created, and one of the founders and enthusiasts for creating this organization was Douglas Buckledge. They are trying different way of communicating, and now I want to try. I hope we can watch a little clip from YouTube, how they're going to communicate with other planets. So I see another. Okay. But before we're going to watch it, I want to refer to an article that was published by William Alba, and you can read it on this website. He was talking. I like this article because it's the title is Asking Questions. He's writing about different ways of communicating, different systems, different languages, and he said that the most important questions is keep asking ourselves: why, whether, and how. So by asking these questions, we'll not get immediate answers how we're going to communicate, but we're going to research. We're going to research, and we're going to be ready for various situations of communicating with extraterrestrials. So let me see how this works. It's YouTube.
Music into space in an attempt
Can you hear me?
first contact with an alien civilization. My name is Doug Bakach. I'm the president of METI, an organization dedicated to messaging extraterrestrial intelligence. Thanks to sonar, and for the first time in the history of humanity, 3 transmissions have been sent to a specific and potentially habitable exoplanet, CJ273b, circling a red dwarf called Leuchten star, just 12.4 light years from Earth. No better way to celebrate 25 years of sonar than sending music to extraterrestrials.
Okay.
Could everybody hear that? Sorry, there was just some technical difficulties in the chat. Everyone could hear it?
Sorry. I think it's really either extraterrestrials or because I. Okay, 1 second. My slides somehow closed. 1 second, I need to open them again. I will share my screen in a second. Can you see it or not yet?
No. Let me guide you through it.
Oh.
When you press
Okay.
press share screen on the green. Oh yeah, you got it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I don't know what happened, but it's really something. I will quickly go to the slide we were. So a lot of us think about math, and I was the one who was thinking about math. However, they starting to think that maybe there is a chance to send music and to communicate with music. So any ideas? Or see there are 15 messages in the chat. So what do you think about sending math? Let me just send some random hope on the to the planet. Sometimes it's, thank you, math is universal, but math is universal, but numbers are not. This is very good. This is very good observation, because we're already familiar with the numbers and we measure everything with the numbers. And for us, numbers, that yes, they were invented by Earth beings, but who knows what was invented at other planets. So what we're doing, we're just trying to invent something or adapt our knowledge. They will understand us. What METI or other XENOLINGUISTS or astrolinguists trying to do is to establish a contact and to send information about Earth. So there is, I don't know, one, I think, pretty interesting event. I hope you can see, which called ARECIBO message that was sent by Frank Drake and Carl Sagan many years ago, almost 50 years ago. And they decided to send as a code to various planets, and they coded, you see the picture in the on the right, numbers. Maybe it's not the best photo, but the best I can do. On the very top, the white number 1 to 10. Then they put the atomic numbers of most important elements: hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus. Little purple triangle under it. Then they did formula for chemical compounds that makes up the nucleus of DNA. If you, next slide, they, for whatever reason, put the estimated number of DNA nucleotides at human serum on the this blue thing. Also, they send you see the dimension of an average man and human population on Earth, this white thing, and the yellow, you see the yellow stripes, it's a graphic of the solar system, indicated which of the planets the message is coming from. Of course, you can see the little human being, the red little man. And on the very bottom, you see the picture of this ARECIBO telescope. So it's actually a description of the telescope. And what, for me, I found the most probably fascinating is that, and the message, they send this message, this is decoding, they send message with a certain frequencies, trying to code this message, that whole information about Earth and beyond a little bit, whole information about Earth is recorded on this 3 minutes message. So even if we didn't establish, so far we didn't establish any contact with extraterrestrials, and they sent message 50 years ago. So far there were no any response back, and there were some hopes, there were some fakes, there were some wishful thinking. They thought there was a signal from other planets, but thanks to these efforts, there were so many things that were invented. There were so many thoughts that appeared. There are so many new classes, books, inventions, so many new things, just with a hope to find out the way how to communicate with someone on other planets. I see a lot of chats. I really like somebody put the language, finding bacteria will be just as awesome. Okay, because if you find bacteria, actually, I would leave it this message open. If we find bacteria, and probably we're already very close to find some, if bacteria is thinking, is it possible to find a way to establish contact and to communicate? How do we know if it's not from Earth? So one thing we know for sure, I like somebody's idea, that for sure they don't look like us. They don't look like we do. So we are we're pretty close to the end, and my question to you, does it worth it? What do you think?
Well, as in, is it worth it to send something? Is it worth it to send out messages to outer space? Is it a waste of money, time, and effort, or is it, can we still be hopeful that it will reach someday to aliens?
Actually, both. Both. I see somebody's raising hands. Both. Does it worth to do all this work because new labs building specifically for this, new majors are creating at the universities just for this. So does it worth it to invent languages? Does it worth it to wait, to observe, to try? Because it's all, as you see, trial and error, and so far there were more errors. There were pretty much the same amount of trials and errors because so far we didn't get any answers back. That we sent a lot of messages. Does it worth it to keep sending messages? Does it worth to invent new languages? Does it worth to observe planets and be so sure that one day we'll be able to communicate with someone? So I see yes, 100%. This is hopeful. And if somebody raised hands and if you want to ask questions or to speak or to you have any ideas, you're very welcome to do this.
I think Patrick wants to go. How about Patrick goes?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So exactly, how do we know if they actually know? And also, it doesn't have to be from somewhere in our own galaxy or universe. It can be in a different person, in a different universe, in a different place. Because, like, it doesn't have to be on the moon or the Mars. It could be somewhere else that's unknown. Like, honestly, it could be something that it's just random numbers and letters that we don't understand. So how do we even find the coordinates for this planet? Do we even know what stars are next to it? Do we even know what this planet looks like? Do we even know if there even is any details on this planet? Or are we just thinking about a hypothetical planet?
It's a good question. It's a good question. It's so far it's more, yes, it's more hypothetical. And whole science, xenolinguistics, is hypothetical because we don't know. And it's fascinating and it's great, but we don't know. We may use some assumptions that in certain planets there are more chances to find somebody to speak with, but we don't know. And there are probably hundreds and thousands of scientists who are working on criteria to find out how do we really know why this and this planet, or as you said, it's probably not even our galaxy, and this and this planet or galaxy, how big is the chance, and or just perfect luck, how big is the chance that we find somebody to speak with? And I see, honestly, I think I'd better to spend money on things we currently need at the moment for economy instead. But we might find something in outer space that could be extremely beneficial. So actually, it's a good point. A lot of things we develop for space back in a very beneficial way. Think of satellites. So it's very hard. It's a good observation that instead of this, doing this, but how do we know? Do we know that this and this project will bring something beneficial in a long term? People who spend years and doing math equations and playing with numbers, did they know that it will be beneficial 300 years ago when this and this equation will help biologists to find cure for cancer, because certain formulas, statistics, they definitely very helpful in treating people. I know I'm speaking a little like simple and primitive, but in long term, yes, thanks to somebody who played with numbers 500 years ago, math developed and statistics developed, and somebody got cured that was not available before. And it's very true about cosmos, because the history shows that money spent on space research bring benefits on Earth. Telemedicine, new materials, new medicine, weather forecasts, GPS. That I think GPS, it's really, it's a great invention, especially if you think about economy and how easy to commute with GPS, especially if it's medical transportation. How many lives was saved thanks to GPS. We have hope to find what on Mars we can bring Earth. It's all, as you see, there are so many assumptions and open questions. We probably don't have time, a little bit, we don't have time, but there were so many artificial languages were invented that helps to develop computer programming. Probably next time we'll be able to speak and decode some computer languages that I think you will enjoy doing. And learning about languages and non-human minds and communications may help us to understand ourselves, help to resolve conflicts, teach artificial intelligence to communicate with us better. I think this is, thank you, Julie, for this. And I think this is so cool. And with this, if you ask me, I would say definitely worth it, because all this time and efforts that we do in research, it helps science, it helps human interaction, and it helps deeper understanding of nature, whether it's Earth or other planets. So I think I probably stop now, because I was talking a lot, and I will be very happy to hear conclusions, or if you have any notes or questions.
Yeah, I think this is time for anyone to, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, etc. Now's the time. Through chat, raise your hand, unmute. Go ahead.
Okay, I think I see some hands.
No hands except for Shannon.
Shannon? No?
What are some things that, like, when people have gone exploring to like different places like outside of the Earth, like what are some examples of things that they found to be like extremely helpful?
To explore other areas of Earth that they're not so well known. That's what is the question?
Can you repeat that?
No. Well, what I said, I probably misheard. Or what was your question?
Oh, I was gonna ask, can you like list some examples of like things that people have found helpful, like when they've gone exploring, like gone to the moon and like stuff they brought back, how that's like helped people on Earth?
Oh, that stuff that they brought from other planets?
Yeah.
That I don't know much about stuff, because my knowledge is mostly in languages. But I'm sure this is definitely a big list of minerals, air probes, or liquid probes, anything that found it's a good question. I just frankly, I don't know much about this, and I don't want to quickly right from my head. If I see some, okay, and goodbye. Thank you for coming. If anyone has answer for this, you're very welcome. If not, I think it's a great topic for another class or discussion.
Okay, so I think with that, we have reached our end. Again, thank you, Ms. Brodsky, for organizing this. Thank you, Natalia Black, for taking your time out of your schedule. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Your questions were amazing. Great discussion. I think I'll hand it over. Actually, I think we're good. If anyone else has anything to say, I think now's the time. But yeah, thank you so much and goodbye. Bye.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure working with you. Thank you.